What's up, guys? We're back at it again with another video. It's going to be another One Piece chapter live reaction. This time it's chapter 1178, titled A Fading Nightmare. We have Eustace Kid on the cover page. That is neat because we have not seen Kid, to my knowledge, at all since Shanks absolutely blasted him and the rest of his crew off of the Blue Star planet that they live on. Absolutely wild. But it's a Kid runs from a bull charging at his jacket. I think he should have said, I guess this jacket would make sense, like the cape he has on. But I think it would have been cooler if he was chasing him because of his red hair. Either way, though, it's cool to see Kid. Like I said, I haven't seen him in a while, so it's nice to at least see him in a cover page, even though it's not a new cover story. But it is what it is. Let me see. The Oda note is just talking about a live action that I know nothing about, so we're going to skip over that. Get into the chapter. Before I start reading, though, I am going to say, the last chapter ended with a pretty serious note being said, where it's, maybe we're going to call it Imko, which is Gunko Imu. Imko said to both Luffy and Loki in their devil fruit forms that the war between them would divide the world if they fought. We don't know if that was a literal thing or just to essentially tell us that it'll be the beginning of almost like the continuity from the Great War, from when the original 20 Kings came about, what it seemed that Nika or Joy Boy originally kind of fought against, that continuing essentially, like the world redividing again, or if there is in some literal way the world will once again be divided, kind of like the red line dividing the world. I think that's a little less likely. I think it was more supposed to be a figure of speech, but I'm very curious to see where that goes, and then we still have the other Gods Knights who are getting worked over by the Straw Hats, so we might get to see more of where that's going. So I'm just hoping we get some Brook stuff this chapter, so let's see. It says, Luffy and Loki confront Gunko, and we just see them yelling, "Hey!" Jinbei responds, "Luffy." It's Luffy rushing Brook and Usopp over. "Huh? Brook, Usopp," says Nami. "I'll leave them to you. What's going on over there?" says Jinbei back to Luffy. "Do you need any backup?" says Frankie. "I'll count on you if things get bad. For now, I'd take a few steps back if I were you. Loki's a real wild card." "Look who's talking," says Sanji as Luffy's jumping back in. I will say this is cool. This is the maddest we have seen Luffy, I think, in Gear 5 at all. So he's about as serious as we've ever seen him while in this form. Truly giving me normal Luffy vibes again, which is really cool. Or more like Gear 2 Luffy vibes again. Or even Gear 4, I guess. Alright, now we're actually cutting back to Imko versus Loki. 'Twas but a few years ago when a giant ship was glimpsed at sea, helmed by a captain of truly immense stature. That craft was never identified, for it skulked deep within fog-shrouded regions. Yet, it only ever targeted world government vessels. Huh. But a few years ago, are we about to hear about the man marked by flames here? Trying to figure out who this would be that they're talking about. Oh no, it's Imko right now is talking about when Loki was sailing the seas and what he was probably doing, which was attacking world government vessels. But then Shanks stopped him because Shanks has his own plan, right? And that's probably why he tied him up here, because he knows Loki's a wild card and isn't going to stop fighting the world government. And Loki did say that if he had gotten farther in his journey, he would have ended up fighting the Gods Knights. But he never got that close to actually causing issues with them. So, continuing. My bad. That was just my brain kind of putting that together. We see Loki shooting a massive blast at Imko. Absolutely crazy. And Luffy's also running back over. "Hey, leave some for me," he says. We then get another shot. This time Loki's down below looking up towards Imko, who's flying up in the sky. She continues. "During that self-some period, a number of credible rumors started to emerge concerning the sighting of an unimaginably large flying beast. The truth is plain to see now." And Loki responds, "She got away. Where did she get to? She's too damn small." So he doesn't even notice her up there above him. We then cut to Loki. "There you are. You'll pay for what you did to Usopp and Brook," Luffy says, approaching Imko. And then right when he goes to get up to her to attack her, he's just, "Huh?" And he does the classic Gear 5, eyes bulging out of his head, and then again, eyes just popping forward out of his head. The animation that Oda loves to do with everybody. And it's because he sees Gunko, like, essentially, like, she's just kind of, I don't know, her body's going limp, and, like, a black force is emerging from her chest. Like some big spirit. And that's exactly what it is. Luffy's saying something came out, and it's Imu coming out of Gunko, continuing to talk in this now shadowy form. If only thou were erased from the world as Rox was before thee. Okay. Curious. We then see it's like two arms. They're more like, I mean, I guess they're arms. They're just kind of like, they look like ropes, shadow ropes. There's like black misty lines. Forming two pentagrams, one at the end of each. They continue. I'm going to pronounce this poorly, and I do apologize. Coeler? I can't pronounce that word. But it's a demonic covenant. And he's trying to stab Luffy. He's stabbing Luffy, and he's stabbing Loki with his arms after they go through the pentagrams. Thou shalt cast aside a portion of thy lifespan and receive unprecedented strength. In exchange for this blessing, thou shalt loathe each other. Dami Reversi. And she's touching both of them at the same time when she uses this. So this is kind of like what she used before when she was giving the basic covenant, like the contract, to Harald. I believe this is actually the similar thing to what she had said. Where thou shalt cast aside a portion of thy lifespan? No, actually, because they got all the God's Knights have eternal youth, so it wouldn't really make sense for them to give up a portion of their lifespan. But I feel like we've read that same script before. And receive unprecedented strength, Dami Reversi. So it seems as though Imu might be able to do different things with Dami Reversi, not just make people go crazy, right, and act a certain way or anything. But he can also kind of maybe make certain people hate each other. Which is what's interesting about that. This is kind of like Miss Marigold's power when she had the paint, you know? Where she did the Betrayal Black or whatever it was on Luffy back in Alabasta, and then he ended up trying to attack a couple of his crewmates. It's kind of like that, funny enough. But after she stabs them both, we then see Loki and Luffy locking eyes with one another. And Luffy responds, "What's the big idea? This thing doesn't even hurt," as he kicks it off of him. Loki does the same thing, flinging it off. "What a pain. What did you just say? Or wait, did you just say rocks?" Emu's now thinking in thought rather than actually verbalizing this to them. As expected, these two are truly... And then it cuts off. We get then Luffy and Loki going to begin attacks. Luffy begins Gum Gum, and it looks like a Gatling where he's punching a lot. And then Loki's got Ragnar on top of him, Squeak Squeak. She's too puny to fight like this, so we're probably about to see Loki go into his hybrid form, guys. Luffy's attack continues. Booming Dawn Gatling. Fully hockeyed up in Gear 5, just blowing punches at Emu, and he's literally just punching holes through the big spirit. It doesn't seem to be doing any damage, though, as we're not getting a response from Emu. Just exclamation points of like, oh, like, wow. Okay, we then see Loki actually went back into his normal, just giant form. Ragnar, he calls, as Ragnar turns back into the hammer, and we actually see his little squirrel face on the side of the hammer. Pretty cute, not gonna lie. Squeak, squeak. Move it, Luffy! Whoa, hold up, says, who is that saying to hold up? I'm sorry. I can't tell who's saying hold up in the sense. Oh, it's Luffy, my bad. I keep forgetting, guys, how big Loki is, because Loki with the hammer coming in to swing at Emu and Luffy in that next panel, Luffy is so small. And Emu's a lot bigger, but just looks like a wisp in the air. So we're assuming Luffy's going to dodge out of the way. Emu's just got the exclamation points as Loki charges his attack. And here it is. It's called Niflheim. It seems to be the same attack he used against Harald to kill him. It looks like it traps Emu in a massive block of ice. Well, Emco, I guess, because it is Emu coming out of Gunko, but he's still connected to her body at the bottom. And then we see frozen in the ice, it looks like Emu and Gunko are just frozen in there. Luffy then says, "Wow, is that your finishing move? But I wasn't done ass-kicking yet," as he then transforms back into decrepit Luffy because he's out of energy. I have no idea what you are, but doing it this way is much quicker. Besides, I was way too big for way too long, he says, huffing. So apparently being in his giant form really wears him down the same way that it does for Luffy being in his Gear 5 form, where he turns like this. Excuse me. So it seems that they think that things are done, because it seems that we're going to now cut away from here. They've got him frozen in ice. He thinks that they're good to go for the time being. We then cut back to the fishing village in Elbaf, where we see some of the giants trying to put out the fire. Focus on putting out the fires. That Loki prick may have taken down the monsters for us, but cleaning up after him is its own calamity. We then go to the hunting village. So we were wrong about Loki killing King Harald. We may have misjudged him there, but look at this mess. He's still a pain in the ass maverick. And then we see Nami, go Zeus, keep pouring, I'll do my best, as he pours rain down over the fires and forest of Elbaf. And we then see Jinbei, sea cloud, shoulder throw, which is really cool, because that means we now know that fishmen can actually manipulate sea cloud just like they can with the ocean. We then get to see Lilith. Even the ODCs have limits, you know. I guess she's throwing them out too, trying to put out fires. So everybody's doing what they can. We then cut back to West Village, where it's just, whoa! Where this is going to be Zoro's party. So we get to see the main group, Stanson, Harudine, Dory, Bragi, Zoro. Did we do it? If they all flip back to white, then yeah. But if some start to regenerate, then it wasn't enough. Forgive us, chiefs. It was like some kind of malicious darkness swallowed us whole, one of the giants responds. Don't fret over it. We couldn't resist it either. It seems that one of them is still regenerating. Damn you, captains. How dare you? There's still 2 or 3 left, they say. As we then see... Oh, this looks like Chopper. Chopper actually running up, because we see a hoof, so I'm assuming this has to be Chopper. Zoro says, all right, I got this. And right after saying that, we see Chopper actually run up behind the last 2 of them, smack them both in the back, just like he did with that other giant. And that's actually when Zoro notices them and just yells Chopper. And then we see the same thing happen where their demons actually hover out of them and they flip back to normal. And the Chopper's doing this. Zoro! What the hell did you just do? Says Zoro. Chopper responds, no idea. It seems like I can undo their demonification just by hitting them. Zoro's response, maybe it's because you're an amazing doctor. And I mean, so we'll get into it. I'll wait till the end of the chapter to get into it, assuming it's not going to tell us. I'll get into what my thoughts on that are, because I'm probably just going to now have to make a follow-up video. I was already thinking about making one. I don't exactly like what I think it is, but I think it could be right. The scene continues. What? Don't you dare think that kind of praise makes me happy, because it doesn't, you jerk. Nah, that's gotta be it. You are amazing. Ga ba 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 ba. Says, I think that's Bragi's laugh, I think. We then cut to Harudine. Well, we've sorted the mess around here. I wonder how the others are doing. We then cut to some of the other giants around Elbaf. No sign of enemy activity in Artisan Village. More fires have broken out, though. No foes in Alcohol Village either. Just raging flames. Alright. We then cut to see an actual far back pic of seeing Elbaf where a lot of the forests are on fire. So we get to see the kind of the Atom Tree in, a pretty big light. And it says, seems like that's all that's left is to extinguish fires. Keep your eyes peeled in case any of those demons are still alive out there. We're going back to the library. That's been frozen. Robin's with Saul. She says, Saul, what's going on here? Says Saul. There's definite fire damage, but the shelves are empty. There should at least be fragments of books left. And they're thinking it's because the fire burned them, or whatever. I'm thinking it's the owl. I could be wrong, because it's his library. He probably protected the book somehow. I don't know how. We then cut to Saul again. Biblo the owl ain't here either. So that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking it's Biblo too. I don't want to be too optimistic, but... And then Robin says, you think he might have moved the books? I'd be overjoyed if he did. But even if that were possible, where did he go? She says. Another mini thing to make a theory about people out there in the community. Where is Biblo? What happened to the books? I'm thinking. I'm gonna stop thinking because I'm trying to think hard about that. I had a weird thought that kind of popped in my head, a theory, but I'm not even gonna verbalize it because it's so dumb. We now cut back to the Sanji group. Sanji, Frankie, where Usopp and Brook were just left, where Nami's at. Things got wrapped up pretty quickly once we went on the offensive, huh? Says Sanji. Well, it ain't like this was another full-on war against their whole organization, you know? Even if these guys are Knights of the Holy Land, there were only 3 of them, says Frankie. Killingham then actually responds, or actually, I think he's thinking. We then see, I think Frankie continues, yeah, it's insane how thoroughly they managed to devastate somewhere as massive as Elbaf. And then Killingham thinks, what happened to the Great One? Outskirts of West Village, so we get to see literally the outskirts of the West Village, which is where Zoro and them are. It's kind of hard to tell what we're actually seeing. Oh, this is where Summers is. Okay. So we see Summers cut into pieces. We actually see his head cut in half, and it looks like actually in between his head is his heart. But then we next see his head put back together. And based on what I would imagine, it makes me think that his heart is inside of his head. That's all we see of Summers, though. His head just forms back together, where he's just going, ouch, ouch, ouch. Here we go, damn it. Or damn it, here we go. Ouch, ouch, ouch. His head's back together. We're cutting back to Luffy and Loki now. The important stuff, getting to see what's going on with the whole emu situation. Luffy's group. Loki, I'm hungry. Squirrel, I'm hungry. Go back to the village then. It ain't like I carry food on me. What's with that weird look, anyways? As Ragnar just squeaks while looking down at Luffy. We then see Emu in the back, 3 dots. Cuts to it again, closer up, 3 dots. And then we get ZZZ, SKRR. So like zskr. And then poof. Emu seems to disappear from the block of ice. I don't know if, I'm assuming Gunko is still there, but Emu seems to have just left the body of Gunko at the moment. We're then going back to the Holy Land Marijois, where we actually see a big chunk of the area. Not the palace itself, it's still in pristine shape, but some of the other part of the Holy Land, like the city beneath it, is literally burned and torn up. Guys, this is hype. I'm about to get real hype for this. This is probably the end of the chapter. Because we're going back into Pangaea Castle, the Flower Room. That means we're going to see Emu in their real form directly again. Here we go. Just dots from Emu. He says, Elders. Yes, great Emu, they respond. I say they. I'm guessing it's all of the Gorosei there. Emu says, the Holy Land will be without Mu for a short while. As all we get in response are just exclamation points, 1178 end. Could Emu really be going there? I don't really have a lot of thoughts. This would imply to me, though, that Emu is... He's going somewhere. And I'd like to think the place he's going... Because, yeah, I was going to say he could be going out to help with the issue. But if he's going out to help with the fires, that seemed to look, he had been put out, at least right there, right? So maybe they've already dealt with the issue. If he's leaving the Holy Land, he wouldn't be down there to do anything. So he's going somewhere. And the immediate thought is, so he's going to Elbaf. He might be. He might actually be going to Elbaf in his real form, because in his true form like this, he probably has... unbelievable, unparalleled power compared to what we've seen him use in the Imco form. So that's the only thing I can think of. I can't think of anywhere else he'd be going at this exact moment. So that's got to be where it is. And when he pulls up there, we are going to be in trouble, which makes sense as to why we're getting the whole, man, this seemed pretty easy, huh, guys? And everything does seem to be getting settled. They're probably going to find Summers, tie him up. They're going to maybe get Gunko out of the ice, heal up Usopp and Brook, and then before you know it, boom, Emu's going to drop in, like revitalize Killingham and free him, free Summers, probably yell at them at the same time, and Gunko probably get pissed off at all of them, even Gunko, even though it's not her fault at all, because he was in her body while a lot of this was happening. And then he'll probably give them some type of power boost, and he'll probably unleash hell on the story like we have never seen before. Because I would believe that Emu is the most powerful being we have known so far, including like Rox and Roger and all of them who are pretty wild in their prime. I would assume Emu is currently the most powerful. Now, so we would assume, maybe not next chapter, but if not next chapter, by the chapter after or so, we're probably going to see him. So we might get a couple chapters now figuring out what happened here with the books in Biblo and exactly what's going on, what is going to happen with Summers and what they're going to do with Killingham, right? Putting out the fires, making sure all the giants are Dami reversing back, right? We're probably going to get to heal up Usopp and Brook's going to give some exposition as to why he chased after Gunko and what that whole situation was, and the Giants are probably going to praise Usopp, or at least Dorian Broggy, for going to save his friend, even though he got so hurt, right? And fighting against those unparalleled odds, right? And odds are we might, more than likely, what we're going to get exposition on is more about the Chopper situation as to how Chopper's able to free them. And now we'll cover that very briefly, and then I'm going to make another video probably this week, maybe in the next couple days, talking about what exactly I think it is. But I think more than likely the situation is that it's probably the Chopper it's his devil fruit. I'm pretty sure it's going to be Chopper's devil fruit. I've been hearing a lot of theories that Chopper is the forest god. I don't like the idea that Chopper is the forest god per se. I don't hate it. I don't really love it. My favorite part about the theory, more or less, is that it really helps to make his whole fruit make a lot more sense. Because his ability to go through different forms because of the Rumble Ball, sure, the drugs, I guess, that's fine. Could be the reason why I'm okay with that. Monster Point, even if it's an artificial awakening, from what we understand, not all artificial awakenings make you giant and massive like that, right? So odds are that what that is that's like a semi-artificial awakening to the Forest God fruit, and he needs to actually awaken the fruit for real at some point. In Luffy, it's probably going to be an interesting parallel back to when, I think it was when Chopper says something to Luffy, or it's early on when we're meeting him around Drum, about how Luffy, you don't have a zone fruit, so like my Rumble Balls wouldn't work on you. You don't have other forms, right? But now it could be that Chopper doesn't know how to access his awakened form, and now Luffy's going to have to explain that to him because he is actually a zone, just like Chopper is, and they both might be mythical zones. So that's kind of cool. But the coolest part about it really is it would really wrap up why did Blackbeard go to Drum Island? Because we still don't really know, to my knowledge, we don't know why Blackbeard was on Drum Island, and he was there before the Straw Hats were, and this is before he was chasing the Straw Hats, trying to capture Luffy to become a warlord. So he wasn't doing that yet. This seems to be pre that part of his scheme. What was he doing? We literally have no idea. Based on what we know they're doing now, collecting these rare devil fruits, that might have been what they were doing, is looking for a rare devil fruit they heard was on Drum Kingdom. Potentially the Forest God fruit, right? And that could be the case. Like I said, it would make that part make a lot of sense and be cool, but I'm just not really sure how I feel about that being the situation. But anyways, well, I'll think on it some more. I'll see if I can come to some other conclusions as to what I think it is, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be his fruit. Whether it's he's the forest god or just the human fruit has an innate ability to bring people back to their human or their humane innate roots, right? So it like cleanses them, almost like bringing them to enlightenment, almost. You know what I mean? Maybe. But I feel like if that were the case, we could have seen instances of this kind of being used already. But I don't know if I don't know if he ever used Monster Point against anything like that. So, because you would think that he'd probably have some innate ability over anything that manipulates humans in some way. But again, it could be that he hasn't used his Monster Point against everybody in the story, right? So we don't get to see how it interacts. But anyways, I'll get back in. Like I said, I'll think about it some more. I'll see if I can't piece up a video about that. Because to me, the coolest thing in the chapter is probably getting to know that Emu is coming and that things are getting real. But it seems like Oda intentionally left us a couple of things to think about in this chapter and kind of theorize on. So I'm going to take advantage of that. The Chopper one's the thing I like the most with what's happening right now. So I'll see about making a video on that probably in the next coming days. So look forward to that. If you liked the video, or if you're still around, please do me a favor. Go ahead and leave a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel. That way you won't miss any of my future uploads. Go ahead and comment what was your favorite part of the chapter. What's your favorite kind of little tidbit that Oda gave us to theorize on for this coming week? And what do you guys think Emu meant at the end of this chapter where, I'm sorry, Mu, as he calls himself. What do you think Mu meant when he said the Holy Land will be without him for a short while? Drop any of that down below in the comments. Like I said, like, subscribe to the channel. And with that, I hope everybody's had a good week, and I'll see you guys here shortly for another video. Later. Bye.